Hello, girls. I'm sorry it's been so long since we've spoken. I've missed you all. I hope you've been keeping up your handicraft skills at home. I hope you've been crocheting and knitting something. If you are lost on your projects, I want to be able to help you. So I'm not sure where you are. I would love feedback if you could email me back and let me know if you're just really getting started on your hand warmer or you got stuck on a certain section of it and you need help. I'm happy to help you. I wanted to show you a completed hand warmer. This is what it should look like when you finish the actual pattern before you sew it up. And then this is, I finally found these guys. This is my set of hand warmers. And you can see that they have a little hole here for the thumb. And this is the wrist part. So they go on like this. I can get farther back. So your thumb goes through like that. And they're really comfy and warm. But I wanted you to see that the part in the instructions that talks about sewing up the side, measuring out 2 inches, and then leaving 2 inches, and then sewing again. That's the reason why it makes the thumb hole. And so this is what it'll look like. But to get to this point, you need to take your completed piece of fabric and you're going to fold it right sides together. So this is the right side because it has all the patterning that we just put in. We have this nice ridge. We have this ribbing at the top and the bottom. If you flip it over, we don't have all of that. This is the wrong side of the fabric. So what we want to do is fold the right sides together. So right side to right side. And if I were better prepared, I would have pins right now because that would be ideal. And so if you've got pins at home, that would be best because your fabric might move on you as you sew. But what you want to do is match up these lines. So this ridge here should match up with this ridge, and this one should match up with this one. And also, it's going to kind of roll at the ends. So we want it, to try and make it as flat as possible. Like that, just don't let it roll. It'll try and roll this way. So pinning it helps, and that's what I did with mine, but I couldn't find my pin cushion before making this video, so I'm just gonna make do. So you do need to have a nice tail to sew with, and by the way, I believe the How girls were the ones that had these nifty needles. These, honey, these are the best needles I've seen because they're so much easier to get the yarn through. You can just pull them apart like this and it's just so much less of a headache. So what you're gonna do is take this tail and thread it through the needle and be ready to sew with it. But use your tape measure so you can kind of mark and maybe mark with a pen where you want to stop. Don't get carried away and sew up the thumb hole because that won't be much of a hand warmer. So I'm going to see if I can find the end of this very, very long tape measure I have. And so you're going to measure 2 inches from the end. So I'm just going to sew to here, which is really right about where that ridge ends. Okay, so I'm going to sew it in the same way that we did before with that over stitch. Where you go over and come up on the other side. Over, like that. Okay, And you're just going to keep on going until you get to that 2-inch stopping point. Overstitch, overstitch. I'm making this particular set for one of my boys. It shouldn't take too long to get it sewn up. And don't worry if you don't have the straightest stitches, stuff like that. It's not going to show too much because all of this is going to be on the inside. You're going to turn this right side out once we get done. All right, so we're almost to the 2-inch mark. Okay, do one more stitch. All right, so that's 2 inches. Now I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to pass it up through some of these stitches really close to the edge, just kind of the surface stitches. Pass it through some of those to lock that yarn in place. And if you feel nervous about it, do another one, but it's usually going to stay just fine. Cut it off. All right, so that part's done, and now we'll have to measure 2 more inches for the thumb hole. So let's see if I can find my trusty tape measure. Y'all have no idea what kind of a gadget I've got on me right now in order to video this. I'll have to show you if I ever see you again in person. All right, so I'm gonna measure 2 inches, and then that's gonna be my gap for my thumb. And so I'm going to pick it right back up right here, get my piece of thread, and I'm just going to start it, leaving a bit of a tail here so I can come back and thread that through, weave it through. Okay, so we're going to go, I'm sorry, over, over, and on down. I lost my needle now. See, watch this. See, if I had done that with a regular tapestry needle, I'd be so mad at myself. But look how fast that was. All right, so I'm just going to overstitch all the way down. When I get to the end, I'm going to thread it through again, just like I did before, and I'll have it completely done. And it'll look like this. It's all stitched, except for the gap, which will kind of curl, okay? And then you're just going to turn it right side out, and you'll be done, okay? Now, that's for those of you who are done with at least one of your hand warmers, but you just needed to get it sewn up. Or for those of you who will eventually get there.